Hello, this is Chernik, and you're listening to The Professional Artist on 107.7 United Public Radio, and I'm here with Nigel Sade, and we are going to have a really fun time today because I have deemed it so. We are going to have a fun time talking about the humor of life and art and being a professional artist. If you are an artist and you are living the journey of being a professional artist, you have to understand that things are going to go terribly, horribly wrong, and you have to laugh at those things because otherwise you'll just cry. Because seriously, stuff just happens that you just have to go, why is this happening? And so, but you have lots of really, really great adventures along the way. And my God, if we had the most funnest, strangest adventures. And so we have some fun stories to share today. And we don't really have a script for today. We're just going to kind of wing it. So hey, Nigel, how you doing?
I am well. How about yourself?
Good. So where in the world is Nigel Sade today?
I am in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, my God. We're in the same time zone.
Yeah, I know. We're actually very close to one another.
Reach out and touch. I mean, geez. We're never in the same time zone. We missed the chance to talk to you when you were in Italy last. So I was supposed to try that again.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I am. I'm here for a little while longer, probably through Emerald City. But yeah, and then I'll be home. Yeah,
because you travel like all the time.
I do.
So yeah, I was trying to think of all the funny stories that has happened to me, and Lazarus was bringing up, first of all, the foremost one was probably traveling through the airport with stuff. And he was bringing up when he was in art school, how he had his charcoal blocks. Remember how you get the charcoal blocks and all blocks of charcoal lined up? And he went through the TSA and they thought they were like a pack of bullets or a pack of like C4 or something. And they pretty much slammed him onto the floor. And he's like, what did he do? Because he's like, this white guy. And they're like, they're like, and they're like, what is that? What is that? And he's like, what do I have? And they're like, they thought it was like blocks of like C4 or blocks of bullets. And they opened it and they're like, and they still didn't know what it was. He's like, it's charcoal, man. And so, I don't know. Have you ever been nabbed for anything suspicious?
Yeah. So I've, actually, it's funny. Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but Kat, your daughter, gave me a pin that says I got the second base with TSA. So.
He's got that just for you.
Let's just say, yeah. No. I think that the worst thing for me, okay. First of all, I don't know that I've ever made it through security, entirely. I don't like. I would like. I'll think that I'm about to get through, and then like one of the 5 potential things that I have in my stuff will get flagged by somebody who has no idea what it is. But the worst one of all of it, and the one that got me in the most trouble, is a light table. Okay, but it had a battery in it. All right, but it was one of those really thick, thin Lexan ones. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So it's a piece of Lexan about yay big. All right, with some wires and a battery. That's all they see. All right. So all they see
look suspicious at all.
All they see is bomb. All right. on the actual thing, and it got to the point where I every time I'm like, if I forgot it, they were like this years ago. Oh, let me guess. Piece of plastic, couple wires, battery. They're like, yeah. Be like, it's a light table. I'm like, let me help you out there, but yeah, no. So I just started taking it out like it was a computer. You know what I mean? Like I'll take it out, I'll set it out. They'll go through, they'll see it, and they'll go, light table. And then
not a bomb.
Let it go through. But I think that the funniest story was actually here in Portland. And there was this wonderful vendor at Rose City Comic Con, and they've since stopped doing the show, but they were really big into Fallout, the video game Fallout.
Yeah.
And so like they would set up like a trader stand, and it was really well done. Like they had like the it looked like a post-apocalyptic booth. Okay, and the guy would be wearing like the Fallout armor and stuff like that, and with like a little hat, like kind of like yours,
right?
He's sitting back, but he have like the armor on with like it was great. It was really, really, really well done. He sold only Fallout related sort of items and whatnot.
Okay.
And so I wanted to take something home, from there. So he had these they're grenades that you can get, and it's a baseball, but it's got like a pin that you would pull off of it. All right, and it's in a stand for it, and that's really all it is. And it's just this old looking baseball with like a grenade pin that you would pull out of the top of it.
Does it look like a grenade, or does
it kind of looks? Yes, it looks enough like a grenade that but it looks like a homemade grenade in a lot of ways. So I'm like, I'm on my way back. All right, and I have it in my carry-on.
Oh God!
And I was like. And I went, and luckily, right before we go through security, I was like, oh, hold on. And so I went up to the TSA agent, and I'm like, okay, listen, I'm going to open this bag, and in it is going to look like something bad, but it's not. Okay, it's a prop. It's a thing that cosplayers use and stuff like that. And I pulled it out, and I said, if I took this through, would I get in trouble? And he goes, oh yeah. This would flag the FBI to come in. You would not make your flight. Okay, first one, you would not make your flight, and you would be cavity. You would be you name it. Across the board.
Big trouble.
You would get in shit. And I was like, okay, well, what do I do with it though? I really like it. I want to get it. He goes, well, you see it over there? There's a USPS drop location. You could put it into a box and then send it to yourself. And I said, hold on a minute. You mean in the airport, I can put what clearly looks like a grenade into the mail, but I can't talk to you about it and just take it with me? Like, you guys have a scanner. You can actually like dust it for bomb residue. Like right here.
It's not a grenade.
Yeah, it's not a grenade. It's just a prop. You could do all the things necessary. Or you're saying the better option is for me to put it into a box and send it through the US mail.
Without anybody checking it.
Without anybody checking anything at all. And it's going to go on, and I just want to point out, it's going to go right from there onto an airplane in this airport. He's like, yeah. Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
No.
No, it doesn't.
No, that does not make sense.
But I'm going to do it because it's funny. So...
because I want to keep my non-grenade grenade.
You know what? Honestly, it's one of those things where it was just the ludicrousness of it. It was very. It's indicative of society in a lot of ways. I think. Like there's just these ridiculousnesses that we have, and then we're like, or alternatively, you could do something even worse. But that's illegal.
Even worse. Yeah. Well, when I went to Prague, I went to the Bone Church at Kosmas, at the ossuary there. It's really awesome if you get a chance to go there. By the way, ossuary. Huh?
It's only like is it like an hour away from?
It's Prague? Like an hour. Yeah, we caught a train. So we got the train. Okay, this segues into a completely different story, by the way. So we get on the train, and here we are. I'm with my friend, and we're on the train going to the Bone Church, which is an hour outside of Prague. And I get on there, and I'm getting my money out. I've got all my money from and I don't I'm not like you. You are all over Europe. This is like my second time in any part of Europe, and my first time in real Europe. I mean, my only time has ever been to go to Iceland. Okay, this is like real Europe. This is Prague. I mean, so I got all this money from all these different places that I can't tell apart. So I'm sitting in the seat in the little train cabin, which has like the bench And then the bench across the way where this really, really ancient lady that obviously doesn't speak English comes in and sits across from me and my friend. And I pull out my money from my pocket and I'm looking at it and I'm going through all this change, trying to figure out which country each of these change bits are from to make sure I've got the right money from. And she just looks at me and she just starts clucking at me like, and it was so funny because I could understand exactly what she was saying. She's just like, cluck, cluck, cluck. And she reaches in her pocket and she pulls out this little coin purse and she pats me on the hand and she obviously gestures without saying a word of English that a young lady should not be without a coin purse. And she hands me this coin purse and she puts all my coins in this purse, pats my hand and gestures like, that is inappropriate for a young lady not to have a coin purse. I'm like, oh, thank you. It was like, oh, okay. All right. That was quite a conversation there. Okay.
Right. I mean, you're not wrong.
That was very clear. There was a very clear conversation I had with this very old lady from, that I was told clearly that.
Honestly, that's one of the things I like about Europe, in particular, is that kind of thing happens a lot. Like, I mean, like that lady had an extra coin purse.
A young lady should never be traveling without a coin
purse.
Right.
Yeah, that woman has anticipated this exact scenario, all right, where she has to have another coin purse to give to somebody who clearly has not read the coin purse. Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So we go to the boat. Yeah, you should go to the bone church. It's right there. You get right off the train, and there it is, like across the tracks. And you walk over there, and it's just this really great place for sketching if you get to go there. And it's just this really awesome little village. And you go, and they have this. You go in, and it's just this. Everything is there's just bones that are just arranged. The whole church everything is just made up of bones. I mean, it's been. Basically, they made the altars of bones. They made the ceiling. Everything's just arranged. Like, we have all these overflow of skeletons. Let's decorate everything in skeletons. It's wild.
So it's just it's an old like stone church that the interior of which has been
whole interior. You should look it up. The whole interior, everything. They literally took all these plague victims and then decorated.
I've avoided looking at it because I kind of want to only see it in person.
Oh, you should see it in person. It's freaking.
Yeah. Like I don't want. I want. When you travel as much as I do, like there are just certain things that like I find myself doing because I've seen so much of the world and so many cool and just ridiculous things that like. I kind of like to not know anything about the thing I'm about to go see.
It's not like gigantic, but it's not like disappointing. It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. Like I want to know the premise. You know what I mean? And then I want to be able to go to the place and experience it fully without having had seen a picture of it or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess they had all these plague victims, and they just started.
Yeah,
I mean they had bones and bones, and they just started decorating with them and
piled up.
Well, yeah. So they started just creating altar pieces and like the backdrops and from the ceiling, and they're just beautiful and they're great. Oh, yeah. So they ended up they had some replicas of a couple of the plague victims' skulls there. And so what they did is I bought one at the gift shop. They have this little tiny desk for a gift shop. And I bought the replica skull of a plague victim. And I was like, well, I want this replica skull. So I bought this replica and I brought it back with me. And I thought it'd be really cool to have it. I had it. Unfortunately, somebody broke it. So I only had the jawbone left. But it was really, really cool. But I thought it'd be really cool to bring back and I'm thinking, how is this going to look coming through the luggage on TSA? And sure enough, I peeked because sometimes you have to carry your luggage through the actual TSA and see it go through the scanner. And it looks like you have a human head in your back. It really did. It literally looked like there's this human head. And I was like, they're going to freak out when they see this, right? They didn't even blink. I mean, they totally didn't even blink. And there's this human head going through the bag. The guy kind of looked at me and I was like, I put that in there for you. But they stopped me because I had this 3-inch foam dagger that I bought for my daughter. It was foam. It was like foam and it was gray and it was painted. And they took my freaking 3-inch foam dagger. That was like a play foam dagger. They're like, oh, you can't have that. It looks like a real weapon. I'm like,
took it?
They took my 3-inch foam dagger. They let the human skull go through. That was fine. Not a word about the human skull. But the 3-inch foam dagger, oh no, that looks like a real weapon. I'm like, but I got a human head in my bag right there. Oh, you can't have the dagger though. But there's a
you
human
can't
head.
use the human head as a weapon, okay? That's the problem. And you can't threaten people.
The
only kind of damage you're going to do with the human head is some psychological damage, maybe. You know what I mean? And
what am I going to do with the foam dagger?
Well, you could pretend like you have a dagger, and people might believe you.
No, it was not. It was not even a realistic dagger. No. So before 9/11 years ago, Laz and I were going to an event, and we had this gigantic granite hammer. I mean, this granite hammerhead. It was the granite piece probably weighed 20-25 pounds, and this granite, it was an art piece, and it's granite, it was like 10-12 inches by 6-7 inches by 7 inches, and it was like 4 feet tall. I mean, it was a big fucker, big, heavy as a motherfucker. And so we brought it on the plane because we didn't want to put it in our luggage. I mean, this thing was heavy. And so we wrapped it in a blanket. We carried it on the plane. And this was before 9/11. So it wasn't, we were really didn't think about it too much. And so we're carrying it. We're carrying it up to security. And the guy like picks it up and he holds it like this big Thor's hammer. And he's like, yo, Sven, is this a weapon? And he yells across to the TSA guy across the way. He holds it up like this giant Thor's hammer. And the guy's like, yup, looks like it. And we're just looking like, oh my God, they're going to take our huge hammer. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, looks like a weapon to me too. And he turns it back to us like, no, we're just fucking with you. You're fine. And he just puts it back down and lets it go through. And we're just like, oh my God. We're like, it's an art piece. It's just an art piece. It's not a weapon. No, it's just a giant art. Okay, we can go down, right?
And again, it's an art piece that had you put it into your checked bag would cost you a lot of money. You know?
Oh my God. And we're just looking like, don't take our giant art piece. He's like, is this a weapon?
Honestly, that's been my experience with European customs and stuff like that, is that they really don't want to deal with it. You know, I think that I was terrified the very first time because we went to so actually you were there. We went to Germany. Remember when we went to Germany and we we took over Larry's booth and and whatnot. And so when we were on our way to that trip, it was me and the kids and my girlfriend at the time. We were going through, but everyone has artwork, you know, and stuff like that that's in the bags and everything. And so we're not sure what we do as far as like, you know, customs issues and, you know, and things like that. And so we're like, okay, where do we go? You know, like, what do we do? And we looked over at the guy that was at Something to Declare. He sees that each of us has 2 apparently heavy bags, and there's 4 of us, okay? And he just points at Nothing to Declare because he didn't want us to come through his line because he didn't want to go through 8 bags. No, you know, so he's just like, no, I'm out. You guys want to go over there, you know? And that's been literally every single time I've gone through customs.
I don't want to deal with you. You go over there.
I don't want to do it. You know.
No, I don't want to deal with you. So no.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So.
That's hilarious.
Single time. So.
How about in art school? You got any funny stories from art school?
You know, not a huge amount. I mean, you know, I think that I'm a little, I don't know if I'm different or anything, but like you were talking earlier about
you're very different.
I'm very different.
You're very different.
You're a little off, you know that, right? No, so like you're talking about, like, you know, it's a really great place to go and sketch. I've never been one of those people that goes to a location to sketch something.
I want to be. I try to be. I want to be. I try to be.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I just can't. I don't think that. For me, I'm very much not. I'm not as interested in replicating what I see in any way, shape, or form. I like to kind of sort of be free of the environment. I like to experience environments, and then I'll utilize that as like the sort of to create the scene in my head. But then I kind of like to be away from all of that.
I like to take photo reference when I'm at places.
Yeah. Like I like to be away from it and then do it, in my home or or in a hotel room or sometimes even at the show and whatnot. I like to. Yeah. So at any rate, so art school was difficult for me. Okay, not in so much as that it was difficult the work. It was just difficult to draw that many fucking bottles. All right. And to just draw that many really boring things that I just had to look at and recreate over here. Like I hated it. It was just so annoying. Like I couldn't so I started, the way that I got through art school was I started making all of my art slightly arty, but I would still do the actual thing. So, and it started with the bottles. Like we were drawing bottles of things, and like I got done drawing the bottle and whatnot, and then I put a person inside of one of the bottles beating on the interior of the bottle, trying to escape the hell that was these bottles. And it was my personal way of conveying my feeling of distaste at having to draw so many fucking bottles. And so at any rate, so I drew that, but then I did as best I could at the time of doing correct, reflection and shadow and stuff like that within the bottle and having it affect the other bottles around it, and stuff like that. And so I turned it in, and my teacher's like, okay, all right, all right. I mean, you did the assignment, but then you added something more to it. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, unconventional, but
it's not against the rules.
It's not against the rules, And so that just kind of changed my entire art career. So then the next time we were outside and we were drawing this corner and whatnot. So I turned, and we were supposed to be drawing this corner. It was right next to this cafe named Brady's Cafe in Kent, Ohio. If you ever get a chance to go there, it used to be a wonderful coffee house. Now it's a Starbucks. So there's that. But it's a beautiful building, and it's old, older, it's an American old building. And so so I'm drawing this corner bit, and I decided that I wanted it all to be kind of Lovecraftian. So I drew the corner and had all of the elements that were still there on the corner, but then I drew all the other kids drawing other things,
Okay.
There was a field of us. We were all sitting with our things, and we were all drawing and whatnot. But I turned them all into these Cthulhian monsters. All right. And then I made the building have all of these interesting sort of almost Giger-esque kind of angles and whatnot. And, something out of a gothic horror and what, and again, there he was like, well, okay, it was a perspective exercise is what it was. Okay. And so I'm like, okay. He's like, well, you did the perspective.
So your perspective is slightly skewed. That's what we get out of this, right?
Yeah. My
your perspective is skewed.
Yes. But the actual perspective was fine, And so I was doing those kinds of things. And then it wasn't until, and so these are all different teachers, by the way. Okay. And nobody's really gotten weird about it until I had to do a 3-point perspective. And I was going through a particularly weird time in my life. And so I decided to do it all in red pen. All right. And it was a picture of my living room in the hallway leading into my bedroom. Okay. So there was the 3 points of perspective that I had to deal with. All right. And so I drew in the living room these little red dots that were leading to a handprint of red, and then another one that was sliding down slightly. All right. And then around the corner at the edge, there was this pool of red that was emerging. All right. But there was also kind of like little footprints that had been, getting more and more red as they went to the bedroom and whatnot. And that one disturbed my teacher. Okay. That one was like, my teacher's like, this is terrifying. And I was like, I know, but I just wanted to,
What was your perspective on?
Oh yeah, everything was great. Like, I mean, it was, again, perspective is super easy as long as you understand it. It's math. And so yeah, everything was fine. It all mathed out just fine. And it was that was my way of, I think, getting through. Getting through. My daughter just landed. She was on her way back from she was visiting
Yay!
friends. But yeah, it was just my way of getting through what would have been terrible. So I mean, I guess as an artist, it's kind of like I think that your journey as who you are as an artist starts there. You know what I mean? I've always felt that like art school is very important, and that it teaches you whether or not you can be an artist. All right, not whether or not you have the talent to be an artist. The talent is irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like the talent is this thing that you can either develop or not develop. Okay, the real crux of it is whether or not at the end of the hell that is art school, you still want to do art. And if the answer to that is yes, then you are one of the crazy people that will eventually become freaking artists. If you don't, because there's a scary statistic, and I don't know how accurate it is. It's been a long time since I looked it up, but the statistic is that 90% of art school graduates not only don't go on to become artists, they never produce another piece of artwork again.
I think I was like one of the only people that came out of my class.
Me too. I mean, nobody. I mean, like, and nobody in like 10 years that I know of that came out of Kent State University, which is an amazing art school, by the way. If you're ever in the look for a place to go for art, Kent State University's art college is pretty astoundingly good. It's definitely one of those ones that doesn't focus on like trying to teach you how to be an abstract impressionist. You know what I mean? Like nobody needs to be taught how to be an abstract impressionist. You know what I mean? Like you choose that. That is a choice that you make after you know how to draw. If you don't ever learn how to draw, we can see where one of the premises is missing, in this entire situation. So I've got my own opinions about whether or not that.
Hi, Rose.
Hi, Rose.
Rose says, I also believe this is accurate thinking of my classmates from 20 years ago, the exception being the graphic designers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and again, it's so Larry Elmore. Hi. Hey, man. How's it going? It's Paul.
Paul Pichetti says hi. Hi, Paul.
Oh, man, I miss you. So this guy, one, if you've never seen Paul's artwork, he's an amazing artist.
Oh my God. Paul was on a couple weeks ago.
Oh, was he? Okay, cool. Yeah. Hey, man.
I've known Paul for like a million years.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, his parties at MegaCon were the best parties ever.
I know. I've gone to them with you.
I know.
With you. I've gone with you, Nigel.
Listen, I don't want to talk about what I remember and don't remember of my life because there are big gaps. Okay?
Yeah.
But no, I was in it. We love you too, man. Well, I love you. I can't speak for Echo, but I'm pretty sure.
I love you too.
Well, all right, good. So yeah,
we love you.
So I was in a panel with Larry Elmore, and he said something that has always stuck with me. We were talking about this exact sort of concept, and he said that art is a compulsion. It's not a choice, and I think that is very, very true, and I think that that's really the takeaway. When I tell somebody that you should go to art school because it will teach you whether or not you're going to be an artist, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do art. You know what I mean? Like if you don't make it through art school and think to yourself, I want to do this for a living, then art's still important. I mean, we still need people that'll teach art. We still need people that will interpret art. We still need people that can do other things, even graphic design. Like, I mean, you can go from a fine art background and do graphic design. Like all of these things are possible. It's just there's a certain kind of crazy that is this.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
It's not sanity. It's something else. And
one of my friends says when she's trying to make decisions on things, sometimes she just thinks, what would Echo do? Because, sometimes I just what would I do? I sometimes make healthy impulsive decisions, but sometimes they're just like, wow. I mean, I'm the,
yeah.
You have to, sometimes we just think right outside the box or do things that people.
Yeah. Well, you're just compelled to do artwork. You know what I mean? Like it's not something that I'm choosing to do. Like I'm not sitting back and saying, today I'm gonna do some art. Instead, it's just I will, whether I want to or not, sit down and work on something until I don't want to do it anymore. Yep. I mean, it's just it just happens, and anything else that's in my life or in the way, honestly, sometimes suffers.
People ask like, what if I get like so burned out on a piece that I can't work on it anymore? I'm like, well, then I stop working on it and I go work on a different piece of art.
Yeah, exactly. I go do something else. I mean, I have my entire background over here, which I can't move my whole computer, but I've got like sketches of things that are here, half done paintings. This one painting that I have over here is literally been that way for 3 years now.
I know.
5 years now. 5 years.
You'll get back to it.
Exactly like that,
But and you'll get back to it. So.
I think I feel the need to finish it, which is why I brought it with me here. So, but when I'm working on paintings, I'll be working on a lot of them. Like right now, I've got 4 in this room.
There was one of Muka's pieces that I forgot the name of it. It was like she's adoring her master. She's like draped over the statue. Yeah. It's a painting that he carried it back and forth across the ocean like 6 times. He's like bringing it back and forth because he couldn't. He's like he couldn't finish it because he wasn't quite happy with it. So he like kept shipping it back and forth across the ocean because he just kept working on it. He was like, "No, not done yet. No, not done yet. No, not done yet." So.
I can't tell you the number of times because I you know me. I move around a lot. Yeah.
Oh, look, Paul has a Lord of the Rings painting. He's been in development for over 20 years.
Hey, speaking of Lord of the Rings, I just I started this thing back here. So
I'm just working on the Lord of the Rings piece.
Because I've been asked about 150 billion times about whether or not I have a Lord of the Rings piece. And so I want the answer now after 20 years to be yes.
No, I'm working on it. No,
I have an idea for it. I've got this, there's that.
Yeah. Oh, ugh. I know. I'm working on new stuff for the summer. I'm trying to work on some new stuff. I'm just like, always working on new stuff.
So my first show is next weekend. I'm not personally going to be there. It's a show called MagFest out in near Washington, D.C.
What's your next show that you're personally going to be at?
Personally? Well, I mean, I'm here in Portland, so if they have space, I might go to the Portland show next weekend for FanX, but I didn't sign up for it, but yeah, exactly. If I did that, it would just be kind of a, throw it together last minute sort of thing. But other than that, it's MegaCon actually.
Oh, cool.
Wow, man.
Yeah, I haven't done MegaCon in a long time.
honestly, MegaCon is very different nowadays. It's way better than it used to be. So
Is it? It kind of went downhill for a while. It was really
it
great.
did, it did. And then right after the pandemic, it just kind of weirdly exploded. It just
Did
became
it?
very good. Yeah. It's
I
actually
stopped
one of
doing
one.
it
It's
'cause
one of
we
one.
did it. It tanked for a while, so we just stopped doing it. So
Yep. I had the same issue with it, and then well, so at any rate, the so that show, you know, to be fair, I have friends that work in and around Disney, so they always are able to get me into Disney. So
Disney, I miss Disney.
yeah, so I go
Disney.
out to that show almost exclusively to go to Disney.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we used to go RVing all the time with the kids, and so we'd go do the shows and stay at the RV park. I remember once we were staying, I don't remember what show it was. I think it was Gen Con. Laz was reminding me, we went to Gen Con, and it wasn't Disney yet. I thought it was, but it wasn't. But then our RV caught on fire one night, and we had to bring the kids out. They're sleeping. They were little. We're sitting on the outside, and then I was just thinking about about going to the shows and going to Disney with them. But yeah, our RV got on fire, and we were it was just a little tiny fire, but we had to sit out for hours while they put it out and everything. And then the next day, I showed up at the show, and our friends were teasing us when we showed up, and they were all saying, "Oh, we almost had to go through and double all the prices on all your artwork because we thought you might have died." And I was like, "Hey,
Hey,
rude. Hey, it's good to have art friends like that, right?"
Yeah. My one of my workers that used to work for me used to threaten that as soon as I died, everything was going up in price. So, so they should probably buy it right now.
Yeah. Should buy it now before everything. Yeah, Paul's not really doing MegaCon anymore. He says he's not doing shows. He's just chilling out, being all retired.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Cool. That is a goal.
Yeah. So. But all right, so hit us up with a funny story. How about the one where the Canadians tucked you in? Hey, how about that story where the Canadians tucked you in? Remember that one?
All right, yeah. So
I like that story.
So I drink at shows sometimes and stuff like that. And so at any rate, I
don't because I give things away when I drink.
Right. Yeah, and I don't like much during the day, but then towards the end of the day, we'll have something to drink and whatnot. But I had been drinking regularly, okay, at a show, and it's early days. I drank a lot more than I do nowadays.
You live in Italy, for God's sakes. That's considered normal. So
yeah, exactly. Now the perspective on what is drinking has become a little different. Like for instance, it's an Aperol spritz, because but with this really weird citrus in it called Buddha's Hand. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, it's really great citrus for drinks because it's got a lot of zest and whatnot on it. So anyway, so I've been drinking normally, okay, and then so I get invited to go to a Harry Potter party, okay, which because it was like Marcon or something like that. It was in Columbus, Ohio, and I had never, and so I went to the party. It was really early days. Like, I mean, I think I was in this for like a year or so, maybe two, and so I went to the party and I was hanging out, and they came by and they're like, "Hey, you want some Jello shots?" And I was like, and I had not eaten yet during this day, so I was like, I haven't had anything yet. I love Jello, So I had some Jello. I had never had Jello shots before in my life. Okay, like just as a note, like I wasn't one of those, popular kids that got invited to all the parties, and stuff like that. And where I went to school, we didn't really have those kinds of parties, like where I went to school, there was like bonfires, that were going on, and stuff like that. There was like 68 people that graduated in my high school. All right, it was not exactly. It was a rural town.
I love Jello.
Yeah, so at any rate, so I was like, oh yeah, I love Jello. And then like later on, they're like, hey, you want some cake shots? And I was like, I love cake. So by the end of this party, I was more drunk than I had ever been in my life, and I didn't really have anything to drink you know, like, I mean, they had these two potions that they were serving. One was blue and one was red. They just referred to it as the red potion and the blue potion. And that was,
I just had the Jello and the cake.
exactly. The Jello and the cake. I had some red potion and some blue potion. And then, you know, I also had a couple of like rum and cokes or something like that earlier. You know, and so I was very, 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 very drunk. And at the end of the day, they're like, listen, you don't have to go home, but you have to fuck off. You have to leave. All right. And so I was like, okay. So for me, what that meant is that I went to my hotel room. I got my key out, all right, to go in and, no, I didn't get my key out. That was right. I got to my door though, and apparently passed out in front of my door. All right. So, and then in the middle of the night, the Canadians come by, okay? And they picked me up, you know, they went through my wallet, and they got my key out, and they let me in, and they sat me down on the bed. They gave me a bucket in case I needed to puke, which I thought was very sweet of them.
Canadians are
and then I like to imagine that they kissed me on the forehead before they whisked away into the night. You know, and the reason why I knew they were before I even found out about it was because I had like $1,000, I think, in cash in my wallet. And it was all still there in the morning. If it had been an American, it probably would have been gone.
Oh, God, no.
But instead, it was the Canadians. So anyways, in the middle of the night, though, I get up and I go to the bathroom. All right. Now I'm rooming with my buddy, Ron. Okay. And he's got the other bed and I'm in the bed. So anyway, I wake up and I go to the bathroom. But I open the door to go to the bathroom, and like there's another door there, and I'm very confused and ridiculously drunk, and so I in my brain think, well, you're already in the bathroom then, and then so I turn around and go to the bathroom, and in this process, Ron, in my mind, has shoved himself into the toilet, okay, and he looks at me and he says, "What are you doing, Nigel?" And I'm really upset with Ron at this point in time because I don't come into the bathroom when he's going to the bathroom and ask him what he's doing, you know. I said, "I'm taking a piss, Ron. What the fuck's it look like?" And then I finished up and went back to bed. All right. So now, skip forward to the next day. All right. I'm at the booth with my partner in crime at the time. And Ron comes up to the booth, all right, and he's just got this really dejected look on his face. And we're like, "Dude, what's the matter? What's going on?" And he's like, "Well, I just, I had a bad night." And they're like, "What do you mean you had a bad night?" And he pulls my partner aside to tell him, apparently, Nigel pissed on my bed last night. And he's like, "Well, what'd you do?" And he goes, "I just went back to sleep." You know, and so now to frame this in perspective, Ron was a guy from Detroit, and he grew up in the anger section of Detroit, and like the man would fight everybody. All right, so I utilized every time that Ron was going to get into a fight from then on out. I would stop the fight, and I would be like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa." And I would turn to the guy that Ron was going to punch, and I would say, "What did you do to Ron?" And they'd be like, "What? I didn't do anything." No. Listen, because I pissed on this man's bed once, all right? And he's never been this mad at me. Ron would always go, "Fuck you, Nigel," and he'd just like walk away. And then I'd look at the guy and I go, "You're welcome. Now run."
Oh my god! Oh,
yeah.
Poor Ron.
Uh-huh.
Don't eat the cake and the Jello shots.
And since then have not really had Jello shots or cake shots. You know, like I think I learned my lesson. You know.
Yeah. No more Jello shots. No Jello shots for Nigel. Oh.
Yeah. There's only been a few instances where I've been that drunk.
Yeah, that was early on. That was
that was early.
I don't even know how you go to the booth the next day. Oh my god, I have to be.
So honestly, to be fair, I don't really get hangovers that much. Which is really nice. And genetically, no more Jello shots for Nigel. Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
You were younger then too.
I don't even eat a lot of Jello anymore, honestly.
No, not
so,
yeah. Not anyway. No. So, oh god. Yeah. So no, jeez. Yay, art shows. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. No. I
It's terrible.
Yeah.
You end up staying in all kinds of great places, especially when you first start doing the shows. I mean,
I used to sleep in my van.
Yeah. I remember when we first started showing up, when we first started doing the shows, I showed up at Heroes Con, and I had like no money. I had enough money to get to Heroes Con. I showed up at Heroes, but I didn't have enough money to get home. So if I didn't make any money, I ended up sleeping on like somebody's floor. And I'm like, all right, if I don't sell any art, I literally can't get home. I don't have any gas. I'm like, I gotta buy art or I can't leave. I'm gonna be here living at Heroes Con.
I'll tell you, I honestly started down a path where I thought to myself that, like, if you don't know what solipsism is, it's the belief that you are the only thing in the universe, okay, and that everything else that has occurred around you is just part of your imagination. All right, okay. Being an artist very much at some point in your life makes you feel like this. All right, because like I didn't. I never needed money and didn't almost immediately pull something out of my ass. Like just out of nowhere, I would make a large sale, or I would do this, or I would do that. But and it was very strange.
Consequently, when you get a big paycheck of money, that's when your transmission goes. Or when you get that's exactly how, it's exactly how that works. Something will come through to just kind of pull you through it. But then when you get a big paycheck, then that's when
you never really have a lot of leftover money. You just have enough to make it to the next problem.
Yeah,
I would imagine it is how everybody is. But like like an average person goes into a job every day and that sort of, you know what you're going to make next week, that kind of a thing.
But when you're freelance, it's much less predictable, which is scary, terrifying, I'm told, for normal people. Not knowing what you're going to have down the road, I'm told that's absolutely terrifying. It took me some years to get used to that and not be terrified of that. And for a while, and now I can kind of foresee what the bills are, and I take preventative measures for them and not be as terrified of that.
If I have one recommendation to anybody that does do this for a living, pay your bills as far ahead as you possibly can. Every single time, and then when you're like a year ahead, on things, then buy something nice for yourself. But
I try to get as few recurring bills as possible. If I can pay, if the option is like a subscription where it's this much per month, or pay the year in advance, pay the fucking year in advance.
Yeah, year in advance.
And you don't have the monthly, because that monthly will just kill you. Because sometimes some months you don't have enough to make that $5 or $10 a month. So if you pay the year in advance, you don't have to worry about it.
It even goes forward. Like I remember, I bought a house. All right. And like an idiot, I added my wife at the time on as a person, and then when we got separated, she didn't want the house, and really neither do I. And so now there's this whole kerfuffle that has to go into like me like moving the house into my name. but you know how it is. Like, you don't actually have what a bank would consider to be an income, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I had the all of the ins and outs of my checking account through Chase Bank, okay, and my loan for the house was through Chase Bank, and so I was like, guys, you can see my bank account, you know, like, I run a business. Yes, my tax returns say that I don't make a lot of money, but you see the money that I make, and I'm just following tax law over here. So, you know, there's a reason why Amazon doesn't pay anything in taxes. It's because our tax laws are stupid, you know? And so, you know, there's that kind of a thing. And so, like, as a result, you know, I end up, you know, I ended up with like it saying that I made like very little money. And so they made me pay off my car and every other bill. Like, I had enough money to pay off my car and a bunch of other things that I had other bills on that I had a monthly payment for, but they wouldn't give me the money for the house, even though it was very strange. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
it's so weird.
It's so weird. And so, yeah, so as a result, like, you know, you know, but it's a great idea, you know. I mean, really, when it boils right down to it, if you have the money to pay your car off and you're an artist, pay your fucking car off, you know, because that bill could be the life or death sort of situation.
You never know what's going to happen. So.
Yeah, exactly. Every month could possibly be something new, you know, that is going to be just dumb.
And don't underestimate barter. What is the strangest things you've ever bartered for? I got paid in bones once. I had somebody walk up and they had a bunch of bones, and they're like, "Hey, I got a bunch of bones."
I have been paid. Well, not in actual bones, but in like
they were raccoon bones.
Oh, you know what? No, I did barter for some preserved animal fetuses.
Ooh.
At one point in time, it was at an odd mall type show.
That's cool. No, this was just somebody that had bones.
I've been
paid cupcakes from a baker.
So I did at one point in time trade art for a person's dress.
Were they wearing it? They just rip it off themselves?
Yeah, they did. They were, and no. Well, yes and no. We traded pants essentially. You know, so I wore the dress out. She wore my pants out. So,
really?
Yeah, it was. And it all occurred behind my booth at that point in time. Honestly, early days booth stuff was very strange.
I've traded for somebody's T-shirt and taken it off their back. So you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I've gotten a massage. I've gotten henna on the spot.
Oh yeah.
That's nice.
I've traded for massages. I've never traded for henna.
Do you ever have the guy that used to come and walk up with the cooler full of stuff and sit down in front of your booth and open the cooler, and he had like knives and all kinds of things? Do you get him? He used to be a mega con. He'd have a cooler full of stuff, and he'd sit down and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he'd have a chat, and then he'd open it up, and he'd pull out all these kind of like packaged knives and other things, and put them on the table, like it's some kind of like those old flea markets and stuff, and be like, you know, this is what I got. Lay them all out, like it was like an old timey flea market. You know, you didn't have him. I thought he was used to be a mega con.
Yes, I did, and I actually got a bunch of them off of him and gave them as gifts. I think to my kids.
Me too. Yeah. Paul, did you ever get him? The guy that used to show up with the cooler and sit down on it and then lay all the stuff out on the table? They were like knives and other.
There were always those weird ass knives too that had like the rainbow wood patterns on like the handles. Yeah. They looked like something out of a fantasy film, you know.
Yeah, and I just ended up giving him his gift. So we got like 1 or 2 minutes left. So we're out of time already, Nigel. So
no.
I know it's too fast. We have to say funny more things. Yeah, Paul would have gone for it too. I love trading for stuff. I'm always like, let's
go. No, I'll tell you, I have enough artwork that I can wallpaper my house. You know what I mean? It is one of those things. I love trading. You know?
Oh yeah.
I let all my employees do it as well. You know, because I mean, heck, like it's, yeah, I mean, it's, because I've been there, you know what I mean? I've been that guy that wants a thing, but I don't have any money. But what I do have is this stuff that I could that I could trade for.
And I think, well, what can I give as gifts? If I can't use it for myself, can I put it in my box for gifts for somebody else for later?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like this here, this necklace, which is a scarab beetle that I've had for my entire career, was from the name of the company was Cougar Creations. And she was at Dragon Con, which was my third show, and I traded her a bunch of prints for a wire wrapped version. So since then, I've actually had to wire it because the wire wrap kept on breaking, and I had to go back to her a couple times in order to get it like rewrapped and whatnot. So I took all of the extra wrap stuff and then had it melted down, and then added some more gold and had somebody cast an enclosure for it. But I mean, I've always kept it with me. But it's one of the first things that I traded for.
Oh, cool.
And so as a result, it kind of always kind of traveled with me,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're out of time. And so we're going to have to do this again, though, because this is fun. I didn't get to tell half my stories. So.
That's what I mean. It's probably my fault. I talk too much.
Oh, that's all right. Well, we'll have to do it again then because this is fun. So, well, anyway, thank you all for joining me. And I think next week I'm slated to talk about AI art and how it affects artists and everything. So if anybody wants to come on and talk about the effect of AI art on artists and to tackle that serious subject and next week, and then maybe we'll follow up with a happy one again after that. So thank you for joining me on The Professional Artist, and you've been listening to 107.7 United Public Radio, and make sure to go on to YouTube /Echo Chernik and subscribe if you have not already. And Nigel, you have you just give everyone your social media again so that everyone can look you up.
Yeah, if you just go to Nigel Sade, so NigelSade, on pretty much any social media platform, that's me.
And I'm going to have you on again soon because we didn't get to finish telling our stories.
Yes,
there are too many fun stories.
I always love coming on. So
all right, and bye everyone, bye.